You're in the loop. We're here to discuss the ups, downs, and sideways of the sport of figure skating, and maybe give you +5 GOE along the way. This week's hosts are
Kite,
Niamh, Red,
and Yogeeta.
Okay, so we're just going to do a really brief host intro so you guys can get used to our voices. So I'm Kite. I am a recent college grad and now I'm a lab technician, which means I study the brain by day and figure skating by night. You can find me on Twitter at MossyZinc.
I'm Niamh, I'm from Ireland. If you want some lame figure skating jokes and some hot takes, my Twitter is @XXL, but the last L is an I.
Hi, I'm Yogeeta, and I love language, data, and figure skating. You can find me on Twitter at @LilyOrum.
Hi, I'm Red. I'm from Texas, and I have a lot of spite for the U.S. Figure Skating Association and the ISU. You can catch my screaming on Twitter at IronicBurb with 2 B's on the end.
Okay, so we're going to do this we're going to do a history of the Grand Prix first and how the seeding and qualification works. And after, we are going to look more in depth into the actual assignments of the 2018-2019 Grand Prix series.
So let's start with a pretty condensed history of the Grand Prix. So it began in 1995 as originally a series of 5 international invitational events held in the US, Canada, Germany, France, and Japan between the months of October and December. Russia was added the following year for a total of 6 events, and Germany was later replaced with China in 2003. China this season has been replaced with Finland, and we're not sure if this is going to be going on for the future, or if it's just happening for this season. We'll have to wait and see.
Yep, and the events have been in pretty much the same countries since the Grand Prix started, but their ordering can change from year to year. And skaters can compete in up to 2 events, and they do earn prize money depending on placement, but it's pretty much peanuts compared to their training costs. So for most skaters, it's just for international exposure prior to the big competitions that happen later in the season, like 4 continents and Europeans and Worlds. And assignments are usually released in May or June preceding the start of the season.
Yeah, and can I say one thing? It usually is helpful for the countries that have big federations with like lots of skaters, because there's no cap on how many necessarily, or there's a cap but it's not as much, because in like the championships they can only send 3 in each division, but in the Grand Prix they can send more.
Yeah, they can send as many skaters as qualify, basically.
Yeah, so in this season you have Japan has 3 ladies in every single event. So
and Russia does as well, I think.
Yep.
Gives them an opportunity to send more skaters to international events.
And that actually moves us pretty well into kind of how seeding and qualification work for the Grand Prix, because it can be pretty confusing. So, in a nutshell, skaters are seeded for their Grand Prix assignments based on how they place at the World Championships the previous season. So the top 12 finishers at Worlds in each discipline are automatically guaranteed 2 assignments, and the top 6 in each discipline are seeded, which means that first, second, and third cannot meet on the Grand Prix series until the final, and 4th through 6th cannot meet either. And that's kind of just a way of spreading the wealth across all 6 competitions until the final, if they happen to qualify.
The top 24 in world ranking and the top 24 season's best scores from last season are guaranteed at least 1 assignment, regardless of how they did at Worlds. So this helps skaters who didn't go to Worlds for some reason. Last season was especially odd with the seeding because several of the top skaters didn't go to Worlds or had pretty low placements, like Yuzuru Hanyu, Evgenia Medvedeva, Suyin Han, and Boyoung Jin.
Yep, and if you've looked at the assignments, you might have seen that there's some blank spots on the list that say TBA with the country name underneath. That's because countries can actually invite their own home skaters to compete at the events, and these are called host picks. No one really knows how host picks are decided. And the good thing about having host picks is that they don't need to meet score minimums to be invited, whereas the other skaters do. So this allows new skaters from the home countries to get more exposure on the international scene.
National champions tend to be seeded to their own home country's events. So this season we have Shoma Uno going to NHK. We have Nathan Chen going to Skate America, and for example.
And up to 3 skaters from any country can be at the same event. And at each event, skaters earn points based on how they place towards qualifying for the Grand Prix final. So first place gets the most points, and then second place, etc. And ninth place or lower for singles, and seventh place or lower for pairs and dance do not earn any points towards the Grand Prix final. And at the end of the 6 events, the 6 skaters in each discipline with the most points qualify for the Grand Prix final. And there's a lot of tiebreaker rules in place because 2 skaters can get the same placements at their respective events. And then it comes down to who had the higher scores, basically.
So in addition to the Senior Grand Prix event, which is what we'll be talking about primarily, there's also the Junior Grand Prix, which starts, I believe, in August. And assignments there are decided by the federations, and spots are allocated based on Junior Worlds placement. The Junior Grand Prix is also held. The Junior Grand Prix final is also held at the same time as the Grand Prix final.
And when assignments are released for the Junior Grand Prix, you will see news and updates posted on our Twitter account.
And generally, the Junior Grand Prix is live streamed on YouTube for free, so it's a very nice way to get back into the figure skating season.
That is true. Yep.
And it introduces you to up and coming skaters, so ones you may not have heard of, but you'll be interested in seeing them how they go through the Senior Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely good to keep an eye on that as well. So now we're going to go into some detail about the Grand Prix assignments for the upcoming season and hopefully give you an overview into some interesting matchups and other things to look out for. So the way we're going to break this down is we're going to break it down by discipline, and then within each discipline we will discuss the 6 events in chronological order. And so first up is pairs, and let's start with Skate America.
Yeah, for this event, the likely gold medalist is going to be Tarasova Morozov. They're the current world silver medalist. They have 2 European titles. They really are the front runner for this event. But their main competition will most likely be Yu Zhang from China. However, they are inconsistent. But both of those teams did qualify for the final last year.
And on the American side, you have the national champions, Alexa and Chris Niamh. And they're a pretty heavy podium favorite. They're the U.S. champions. They're on home ice. And also, they are training under Alyona Savchenko, who is the 2018 Olympic champion. And so it'll be interesting to see how this coaching change affects their competitive strategy and their international standings. And yeah, we'll see.
I'm very interested in seeing if the U.S. will finally have a pairs team rise after many years, because U.S. pairs is pretty bland for the most.
Not the strongest discipline for sure.
Yeah.
And that's also in part because a lot of times in the U.S., the pairs teams are comprised of people who didn't make it in singles.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, that's true. You do see some single skaters kind of moving into pairs later in their careers. And speaking of which, we actually have a new Chinese pair at Skate America. It's Li Xiangning and Xie Zhong. They were just placed together, I think, over the off-season. And interestingly, Li Xiangning is actually competing both as a pair skater and a single skater in ladies during the Grand Prix season, which you don't see that often. So it's pretty interesting that the Chinese Skating Fed is trying something like this out. No one really knows why.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised. Chinese pairs is pretty strong currently, and I would figure that in wake of Beijing, they would want to try and bring up their ladies as well.
Yeah,
so
develop their singles.
So it's not a decision that really makes sense to me, but we'll see what happens.
It's also part of a really interesting package as such the CSA have had over this off-season, with sending Boyang to TCC and sending 2 junior skaters to America. So you can tell they're really starting to take figure skating seriously going into the Olympics.
Yeah, the Chinese Fed has always been a little insular in how they keep their skaters. So maybe this is a sign of them branching out.
Yeah, but luckily for her, she only has 1 assignment in each discipline. So she only has 1 pairs assignment and 1 ladies assignment. So she's still only going to have 2 events.
So next we have Skate Canada, and the front runner there is Vanessa James and Morgan Prix, coming off of their fresh world bronze medal at the 2018 Worlds.
I was excited
which
about
was
that.
exciting.
That was a nice surprise.
Yeah.
A very nice surprise.
So There isn't really that much competition wise for them at Skate Canada. So, notwithstanding any disaster there, they should win. They were in seventh seeded for the Grand Prix final last year, so they were close, but they ultimately didn't make it. So I'm very excited to see them and see what they bring this season.
I think they have a really good chance of making it this season, especially because there's a lot of pairs that were present last season that aren't this season.
Yeah, they're really cementing their spot as kind of one of the top pairs teams coming off of the Olympics.
Which I'm excited about. I love them.
And from the Canadian side, we have Kirsten Moore-Towers and Michael Marinero. They are probably the top Canadian pairs team now that Duhamel and Radford have retired.
Yeah.
And they're going to be on home ice, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do. And we also have a Chinese pair, Peng and Jin, and those two most likely round out the podium. They're a little bit inconsistent, so whoever has the cleanest skate of the day should take the silver medal.
Let's just move on to Grand Prix Finland. We still don't really have a name for that event other than just like Grand Prix Finland, but yeah.
Yeah, so this was originally supposed to be the Cup of China, but China pulled out of running all of its international skating events this year. The official statement is that they want to get their rinks and their resources ready for the Winter Olympics in Beijing in 2022. So now the event that was the Cup of China is being moved to Helsinki in Finland. And actually, the top Chinese pairs team will be competing in Finland, Sui and Han. They're the heavy favorites going into the event. They're the Olympic silver medalists. Sui is coming off of an injury, and so they actually missed the World Championships. So they were not seeded either for the Grand Prix, but they still did receive 2 assignments. And their main competitors, who were Savchenko and Nassau, are taking the season off. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of rise as the top-ranked pairs team still competing.
We haven't heard much about them yet this off-season, so I'm hoping that everything is going well for them, because I'm really excited to see them come back.
But it's one of the other exciting things about the Grand Prix in Finland is that the North Korean pairs team, Ryom Kim, they got 2 assignments. This is their first of their 2 assignments, and this is their Grand Prix debut. They definitely were like big at the Olympics. And it's always exciting to see like skaters coming out of smaller countries, especially one like North Korea. And I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to do this season. They're really starting to rise through the ranks.
And it'll be interesting to see how they're coached in Canada, so it'll be interesting to see how that influences their skating, particularly their expression, because they do have nice skating skills.
Cool. Well, next is the NHK Trophy, and we'll once again be seeing Sui and Han. They have back-to-back events this year. They did as well last season, but last season it was Cup of China and NHK, which were closer together time-wise, so we'll see how these back-to-back assignments will affect their performance, but they're the clear front runners for gold here.
Yeah. And there's actually going to be a interesting competition between 2 American pairs. It's Tara Kane and Danny O'Shea versus the Niamhs. Is that how you pronounce their name?
Niamhs?
I think so.
Well.
We'll go with it.
So Kane and O'Shea are actually the 2018 Four Continents champions. So we are seeing a little bit of a rise of the American pairs again, perhaps. And the Niamhs were the team that the U.S. sent to the Olympics and the current reigning U.S. champions. So we'll see how the top 2 U.S. pairs stack up to each other as well at the NHK Trophy.
Yeah, especially with all the pairs that are missing this season, I think there is a chance that we might get to see an American pair in the Grand Prix final. It's a long shot, but I think it's a possibility that's out there.
Definitely, yeah.
It would be exciting to see U.S. pairs rise again because it's been a while.
Yeah.
Then after that, we're going to have the Rostelecom Cup in Russia. Again, Tarasov and Morzov are going to be the front runners at this event. There's not a whole lot of competition for them here either. The Italian pair, Della Monica Guaris, will probably be their biggest competition at this event. But Tarasov and Morzov should win fairly easily, barring any major complications.
Yeah. Always a caveat that you want
That
to
is
insert
the
when you're
caveat
talking
for
about anything.
everything in figure
Yeah,
skating.
especially when you're talking about pairs or men's. Like, those are the ones that you want to say, barring any complications.
We're going to see another pair off for the Americans with Stellato and Bartolome versus Kane and DeLuke. They're both on pretty equal playing field here, so but we'll see how they do.
Yeah, they're relatively new to the international scene, so.
Yeah, and I think the Italian pair, Della Monica Guaris, will most likely podium, and the other part of the podium could be one of the American pairs.
It's interesting that this is the second American pair off. It's another sign of the beginning, as such, of the American rise in pairs, with 4 on the Grand Prix circuit.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see them, and I think this could be a great opportunity to see how the international audiences will take the rise of more American pair teams on the circuit, and hopefully give them more exposure to other people and give them the opportunity to rise, because I'm really excited. I think we need more diversity in the pairs fields.
There are 4 American pairs this Grand Prix series that have 2 assignments and 1 pair that has 1. So there's 5 American pairs on the Grand Prix circuit this year.
Yeah, I think with kind of a new Olympic cycle always brings a rise in relatively new competitors to the scene. So maybe this will be the cycle that America regain some of its pairs dominance that it did have at one point, but it's been a while since then.
Yeah, this Grand Prix series definitely is going to be interesting because it is the beginning of a new Olympic cycle, and like you said, there's always going to be some major changes. There's going to be rises and falls in areas that were way different prior to this, especially just because of all the retirements and all the new ones coming in. Anyways, the last event that we're going to talk about for pairs is the International de France. I hope I said that right. Which is
it's had too many names.
Yeah, it's just
let's just call it IDF.
IDF,
Yeah.
IDF. And again, we're gonna see Vanessa James and Morgan C. Prix. They're definitely the favorites for this event because not only are they the world bronze medalists that we talked about earlier, they're gonna have the home field advantage at this event.
We'll definitely also they'll have competition here with Yu Zhang, who they're both James and C. Prix and Yu Zhang are relatively inconsistent, and they have their weaknesses, so they could be competitive for a gold medal here. Ultimately, all that matters is whoever skates the cleanest.
Yeah, and some other pairs that we'll see at this event, we'll see the North Korean pair again, Ryom Kim, and the American pair, Kane O'Shea, and the Canadian pair, Seguin Bilodeau. I hope I said that right. All of those placed very high at like the Olympics, at other events, or actually, I guess Kane O'Shea wasn't at the Olympics, but they all have a chance to do well at this event as well.
Yeah, the field is really opened up in pretty much all of these events for anyone to come in and kind of take the number 1 spot. So, yeah, it's unpredictable, but we'll see how it plays out.
A lot of the big names have retired or are taking the season off, so it's definitely opened the playing field for a more diverse range of pairs teams to just come into the field. So
two out of three of the Olympic podium aren't in the Grand Prix circuit this year. It's very interesting. It's a very open field for people to rise.
So next we're going to talk about the men's discipline, starting with Skate America.
So here we immediately see the top 2 USA men against each other with the face-up of Nathan Chen and Vincent Zhao, especially right at the start of the Grand Prix season. So this is also at home field, so this is definitely going to be the name to watch to see how the US, how they'll face off against each other and to see whose quads really are going to win in this case.
Win out this time, yeah. Yeah, I think it kind of goes without saying that Nathan Chen is a pretty heavy favorite to win here. Reigning world champion, reigning U.S. champion. He is starting college in the fall. He's going to be at Yale. His training base is in California, but he's going to Connecticut for college. So we'll see how being a full-time student influences his ability to train and to go to competitions and to perform, and also under the new scoring system that limits the number of quad jumps and backloading. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches that from a layout standpoint.
Yeah, and also he hasn't figured out what he's doing like coaching wise yet, especially because Raphael is not moving to Connecticut with him. He said he's found a rink like 30 minutes from Yale, but he hasn't said anything about finding a coach. I believe he said something about sending videos to Raph, but that's not the same as having a coach actually there. So it's interesting to see if he's going to find a coach or if he's going to try to do it by himself, because I'm really concerned if he does do that. It'll be interesting to see how like everything works out with him being all the way across the country from his coach, having to deal with an Ivy League course load. I'm just hoping that he can pull it off.
And other podium contenders include Alexei Bychenko, who was 4th at the Worlds, and Sergei, is it?
Yes, Sergei Voronov.
Yeah, who won last year's NHK trophy and made the Grand Prix final, which I don't think many people expected.
I mean,
yeah, definitely not.
He did pretty well on the Grand Prix circuit last year, though. I believe he had a gold and a bronze, and that was how he qualified.
Yeah. So next we have Skate Canada, and the top contender there is Shoma Uno. He is most likely the gold medalist here, especially coming off of his silver medal at the Olympics. That should definitely give him a boost score-wise. So.
And at Worlds.
Yes.
Silver medal.
Yes.
All of the silver medals last year.
Oh boy. Well, this will be the year.
Yes.
This will be the year for him.
Well, he won gold at Skate Canada last year, and then
that is
exactly
that is true. But when it comes to the major events like Grand Prix final, 4 continents, Olympics, Worlds, he's never gotten above.
Look, it's
silver.
a new season.
I'm praying for him to get. I'm praying for his silver curse to be broken, and he does well.
At least in Canada, maybe he can only. I don't know.
Maybe he can only win gold in America.
In North America, yeah.
He should get the gold here at Skate Canada.
Yeah, he's a top seeded skater. Yeah, if he performs anywhere near his best, it's gonna be a pretty easy win for him. We also have Jason Brown, who made big news with his coaching change to Brian Orser at TCC. We'll see how that plays out for him. He really moved pretty recently within the last couple of weeks. And as of last season, he did not have a consistent quad in either of his programs, which has really affected his base value and his technical element scores. So we'll see what working with the technicians in Toronto does for his skating. Sometimes a skater's consistency is affected when they change coaches and are in a new training environment. So it's a very much wait and see with him,
yeah,
I think.
I don't think he's going to whip out a quad because he likes skating the way that he likes skating, but some of his other jumps may become more consistent.
Like his triple axel.
Yeah.
Well, he has a very nice triple axel.
When he lands
He's attempted a quad toe before in competition, so whether working with the coaches at TCC means that quad toe will become more consistent is yet to be seen.
Yeah, Brian Orser has said it takes about 2 seasons for their new students to really get in the groove of how TCC works. So we'll see.
We'll see. Maybe not.
So very much we'll see with him.
This season may not be the rise of Jason Brown, but a couple seasons down the road might be the rise of Jason Brown.
Yeah, he's definitely taking charge of his career and really wanting to cement his spot as a top man in this new Olympic cycle. So it's promising.
Yeah, which is good because he's in the middle of his career most likely, just based on his age, and so he's still got time to rise up there. But he needed to make a decision now and not a few years down the road. And I'm glad he did.
He has all the makings of a top man.
Yes.
He does.
He
does.
He has the artistry. He just really needs to up his technical skills.
Definitely,
so I'm very excited to see what will happen to him. But he's definitely a contender here to medal.
Another contender here is Kazuki Tomono, who had a breakout skate at 2018 Worlds. None of us were expecting it. And he got 3rd in the free skate and 5th overall. He did so well at last Worlds. Like I said, none of us expected it, and so we could definitely see a podium finish from him here.
Yeah, he did compete last season on the Grand Prix. I believe he was at the NHK Trophy. This is the first season actually where he's going to have 2 assignments because he ended up being seated for the Grand Prix with his fifth place finish at Worlds.
And
so
he was
funny.
only there as an alternate. He wasn't even originally supposed to be there. He
Exactly.
was an alternate for Yuzuru Hanyu. So
He was a second alternate because Mura was originally.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
That's
Mura
right,
was
yeah.
at Worlds. Yeah. The one thing that may hurt Kazuki Tomono's chances are the fact that he only has the quad sal currently, and that might hurt his base value going forward, or it might not. He's pretty new to the scene, so he really isn't getting the high program component scores that some of his more seasoned competitors are. So
I believe he's training a quad toe. I believe I've seen like clips of him training that, so he might be debuting that this season. Maybe.
Possibly, but with how unpredictable he was at last Worlds, he could do anything here at Skate Canada. Some other unpredictableness we might see here at Skate Canada is we might see some good finishes from Junhwan Cha and Keegan Messing. Junhwan also trains with Brian Orser. He only got one assignment this Grand Prix event, or this Grand Prix circuit, so he'll probably be wanting to make a pretty big splash here at Skate Canada. And then Keegan Messing is the top Canadian man now that Patrick Chan is retired, and he was top 10 at 2018 Worlds, so he has a good chance of making the podium here as well.
Keegan is inconsistent. He has quads, but he lands them like half the time. So, but he's a very entertaining performer, and I do enjoy
Yeah,
watching
for sure.
him.
For
so,
sure.
I hope to see the rise of Keegan now that Patrick Chan has retired.
yeah, the Canadian men's field is pretty wide open now because Patrick was just dominant for so long that it'll be interesting to see who can carry on the glorious tradition of Patrick Chan going into the new Olympic cycle.
Next we're going to move into the Grand Prix Finland, which this is going to be a doozy.
Ooh,
Yeah.
boy.
Let's
Let's jump right into it.
Well,
The most glaring name on the roster is, of course, Yuzuru Hanyu. He's coming back after a pretty rough Olympic season, I think we would all agree.
Yes.
With his ankle injury, he's been doing rehab over the off season. This is his first big comeback following the Olympics. He didn't compete at Worlds, and so we'll see how he shapes up. I mean, if he has his jumps back and can land them, that's going to be a pretty easy win for him here, I would say.
as long as Yuzuru can skate cleanly, even if he doesn't have all of his jumps back, he's this great all around skater, and the new scoring system works in his favor. So
It does, because he can do multiple types of quads and has a really nice triple axel.
yeah, so I think this is his competition to lose, but he does tend to lose his first Grand Prix event every season, so
It's
But the interesting thing about seeing Yuzuru here is he was not a seeded skater this Grand Prix season, and so he will be up against Mikhail Koyada here at this event, who was a seeded skater due to his third place finish at Worlds last year. And also another big name, Boyang Jin, will be here because of Boyang Jin was not seeded either because of his
19th place
place.
finish
Yeah,
at
his-
2018 Worlds,
So this
coming off of a fourth place finish at the Olympics.
Yeah, this event is going to be quite a lot because there's a lot of big names here at this event.
Yeah, Boyang is also maybe moving to Toronto with a coaching change. I don't know if we ever got confirmation that was actually happening.
it was
I-
never
we-
confirmed by the CSA.
but Brian
wasn't.
Orser did say in an interview that Boyang was joining them, so
But we don't know if it's going to be permanent
Yeah,
or just
we don't-
like a summer
yeah.
thing. We'll see. He has all the potential here to win a medal.
I think the podium is most likely, barring any major complications, is going to be Yuzuru, Boyang, and Mikhail. But Mikhail is very inconsistent, so there's a chance that he might mess up and place off the podium, in which case there'd be room open for possibly Alexei Krajnon. Who was the 2017 Junior Grand Prix champion, Junior Grand Prix final champion, who's making the leap up to the senior level this year, and he'll be interesting to see. He's also coming off an injury from Junior Worlds. I don't know if you guys watched it, but it was
it
Yeah,
was
I
bad.
unfortunately
It
did.
was
yeah,
not.
it was really bad. It was really
bad.
bad. So we're hoping that his ankle is all healed and he will do well at this Grand Prix as well.
He also just had a coaching change as well, so
yeah, that is true.
He left his coaches that he in the U.S. That he moved to the U.S. for actually, and so we'll see what happens. But he announced his programs recently, and they sound interesting. So I'm excited to see what he'll bring to the table. Also at Finland, I believe, is Alexei Bachenko. So we'll have two Alexeis here.
He's definitely a chance to hit the podium as well.
So we're going to be on our 5th stop of the Grand Prix series, which is the NHK Trophy in Japan. Again here, big name, Shoma Uno. He's the reigning Japanese champion, and he was the only skater in the lineup to qualify for last year's Grand Prix final. So again, barring disaster, it should be a pretty easy win for him. Other names coming out are Denis Vasilievs, who was 6th at 2018 Worlds and got himself seeded onto the Grand Prix. Dmitry Aliev and Vincent Zhou from the United States.
Yeah, I think Dmitry Aliev definitely has a chance of placing high in the Grand Prix series. He was, I believe he was 7th at Worlds this year and 7th at the Olympics, so he definitely has a chance to sneak in there and qualify for the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I think any of those 3 names could be on the podium. Ultimately, it matters who skates and who skates well. Vincent Zhao has all those big elements, but he does tend to under-rotate a lot. So we'll see how the new scoring system will work on their behalf.
Yeah, and both Dmitry and Vincent are very tech-heavy, and if they mess up their jumps, they're probably going to place fairly low. Dennis is a lot more consistent, so especially if the other two have issues, Dennis has a very, very good chance of making the podium.
And big surprise at NHK, actually.
Yeah.
It's the first time since 2014 that Yuzuru Hanyu was not selected for the NHK Trophy, and the first time that Shoma Uno is selected for the NHK Trophy. Kind of raised some discussion.
Yeah.
After assignments came out about why this happened. No one really knows, but it could be due to just how it came down to the seeding for the series.
It's also probably that Finland needed some incentive. They have both Yuzuru and Alina Zaitova, so both Olympic champions here at their event. So I think Finland just needed all of the incentives to actually host the event, so they got
on 4 months' notice.
Yeah, so the ISU gave them as much as possible, and
definitely scheduling, because unless the JSF wanted Shoma and Yuzuru to go up against each other, there wasn't really much options other than Yuzuru not doing NHK.
Yeah, it's very true. And then the next event is Rostelecom in Russia. But yeah, here at Rostelecom, we're going to see Yuzuru Hanyu and Mikhail Koyata go up against each other again for the second time. Yuzuru will be the favorite for gold, but again, it'll depend on what we talked about earlier about how his recovery from his injury went. Again, Mikhail Koyata is definitely a contender for the podium, but he's also pretty inconsistent.
Yeah, he got really just hammered by his assignments this season.
Yeah,
he's really shoehorned into competing with some serious challengers, and I mean, depending on how he places, he might not make the Grand Prix final.
Yeah, and definitely Kazuki Tomono will be a contender for the podium. Especially after his free skate at Worlds last year, he'll be interesting to see.
I'm very excited to see the rise of hopefully another big Japanese skater, because really we have Yuzuru and Shoma, and then Japan doesn't really have that strong of a men's field, especially compared to their ladies.
Boy.
Oh boy.
We're going to talk about that later.
That'll be a time.
So I really hope that we get that, these upcoming few seasons, we definitely can see the rise of another big Japanese skater, and I'm very hopeful that Kazuki could be one of them.
And then our last event for that we're going to talk about with the men's is IDF. the French Grand Prix. I'm not going to try to say it again. This one,
it was a valiant effort.
This one is probably going to be, I would consider it the second most difficult one after Grand Prix Finland, because you're going to see a ton of big names here, like Boyang Jin, Nathan Chen, and then you're going to see Jason Brown, Dmitry Aliev, Denis Vasiliev. There's just a lot of names at this event as well. A lot of big names.
Super stacked field.
So here we were definitely going to see a fight for the gold between Boyang Jin and Nathan Chen. They're both very... I think they're pretty equal skating-wise, technically, and like skating skills-wise. So ultimately, it'll come down to who skates the cleanest.
Yes.
So, but once again, they are also... we've seen them flop very badly before as well, so ultimately anything can happen here. I'm really excited to see Jason Brown and see how he'll do here. This is the last stop of the Grand Prix before the Grand Prix final, so at this point he'll have like some decent amount of time to have like gotten his programs down, and he does score pretty highly in performance scores. He usually gets high 90s, lower 90s, I mean, but he gets up there, so I'm very excited to see them compete.
Yeah. Nathan Chen actually is competing in the first and the last stop of the Grand Prix.
He did that last year, though.
That's true. But this is kind of more of a necessity for him this season. Yes. With the way his school schedules work out. I believe IDF is during one of Yale's fall breaks.
It's during the Thanksgiving break. He was hoping for it. Yeah, he was hoping for IDF to be a second. He knew he was going to get Skate America, but he was hoping for IDF to be a second for that very reason.
Yeah, so we'll see how he maintains his momentum throughout the Grand Prix, because he's competing 6 weeks apart, basically. And again, how just being a student is going to affect his performances. Okay, so we're going to move into the ice dance discipline. And let's just start right out with Skate America. There's not really much of a deep field at Skate America this season. Again, there's a lot of people sitting out the Grand Prix after the Olympics or retirements. So we're missing a lot of big names just on the circuit in general, like Virtue and Moyer and Weaver and Poje and the Shibs. And so the big name to look out for here is going to be Hubble and Donahue, who are skating for the United States.
Yeah, they're probably going to win. Whoever else is going to be on the podium is pretty much up for grabs here. Ice dance is not the most exciting field right now, given there are so many retirements at the end of the last quad. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up rising and taking advantage of the opportunity that all those retirements have left behind.
Yeah,
and there's a lot that are just sitting out for a season. Like the Shibs said they're going to come back, but they're just not doing this season. I believe Weaver Pogier said that they were still planning on competing. They're just not competing in the Grand Prix.
Yeah, they're going to be coming back for Canadian Nationals.
Yeah.
They're just not competing in the Grand Prix this year. But here at Skate America, there's not a lot of competition for Hubble Donahue. The other podium contenders are possibly Zagorsky Guerrero. That's not Russian, but it might be. I don't know. It's hard to say. But they are a Russian ice dance team. They were 8th at Worlds last year. And then there's also the Italian team. I'm not Guignard Fabri, possibly. They were 9th at previous Worlds. Those are probably going to be your other podium contenders here at Skate America.
Yeah. Moving on to Skate Canada, we see Hubble and Donahue once again. They have back-to-back events this season, and right at the start of the season too, which is interesting. Notwithstanding any issues, they will most likely have gold, but they have literally fallen from top placements before, so we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, they're going to be the U.S.'s main hopes for a dance team to get into the Grand Prix final as well, so having assignments this early in the season could pose a problem for their momentum going forward, because they have about a month and a half between Skate Canada and when the Grand Prix final is going to be held. So we'll see what happens for them with regards to that. We also have Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier. Without Weaver and Poje, they're the top Canadian dance team right now. So they definitely have a good chance of getting onto the podium, especially on home ice.
I really like them. I think they're very interesting. They have fun programs, so I'm really excited to see them hopefully rise this season.
So moving on to Grand Prix Finland, we have Stepanova Buchan. Is that right, Rad?
Okay. Yeah, no, that was actually really good.
And Chalk and Bates. So Chalk and Bates are the second American team on this Grand Prix, especially with the sitting out of the Shibutanis. So this will most likely be a race between Chalk and Bates and Stepanova and Buchan here for gold.
Yeah, they're pretty evenly matched skill-wise, so it's ultimately who skates the cleanest here.
The fourth stop at the NHK Trophy is when things start to get a little interesting.
Yeah.
You have the reigning world champions competing here in their first event of the season, Papadakis and Cizeron from France. They are the clear leaders in ice dance after the retirement of Virtue and Moyer after the Olympics. So there's not going to be a lot of competition for them probably going forward.
Like the pairs discipline, 2 out of 3 of the Olympic medalists from last season are not present in this Grand Prix series. Papadakis, Cizeron are the only Olympic medalists that are in the Grand Prix series, so they are definitely a clear front runner to just win all of it.
Yeah, win it all. We also have Wyek and Baker. They are an up-and-coming American dance team. Have a pretty good shot at the podium with the field at NHK. Yeah.
Definitely. Hawaii Baker have always been like fairly strong, but there's just been a lot of strong U.S. dance teams, and so they were kind of pushed to the side for a while just because they weren't in the top 3, but now there's some space for them to rise, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to be doing.
And this is the first time they'll meet Papadakis and Cizeron. Both of them meet again at IDF, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I'm also really excited to see Muramoto and Reed skating for Japan, and they were also the 4 continent bronze medalists. They were the first Japanese ice dance team, Asian ice dance team actually, to win a medal in ice dance at 4 continents, which was very exciting. So I hope to see them continue to rise this season. I'm also excited to see Wang Lu there, Chinese ice dance team. They had a pretty strong season last season, and I am excited in general for the rise of Asian ice dance. I think we need to see more. Ice dance has been a very Western discipline, so I just want to see more ice dance teams from Asia rise.
Asian ice dance rise.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I love ice dance and I love Asian ice dance. I'm also really excited to see the rise of Parsons and Parsons, another sibling team from the Americas, from the US. Hopefully they will give us some interesting programs now that Shibutanis won't be taking part in this season. And I'm interested to see how they are playing on tackling Tango Romantica.
Oh boy.
Also at this event, there's another Japanese ice dance team that are very near and dear to our hearts.
Very, very much so.
Making this is their second Grand Prix event for Komatsubara and Koledo. So Team Coco for those who are fans. So I'm really excited to see them this season and see what they can do. They moved to Montreal at the end of last season for training, so as all the ice dance teams did.
Yeah, apparently.
So I'm looking forward to the rise of more Asian ice dance. I will say that Japan gave away their 3rd ice dance spot when they had an ice dance team that could have taken it, and I'm very mad at them for it. But
I'm really glad that Team Coco got at least one assignment, though. It's good to see more. I just want to see more Asian ice dance on the field. Like, just go.
Yeah. Well, they got the minimum technical level scores last season, so they can now take part in more international events. So hopefully we'll see more of them.
Very exciting.
And moving on to the Rostelecom Cup, it's gonna be basically part 2 of the Helsinki event. Your 2 big names here, Stepanova and Buchan, and Chalk and Bates. Depending on, I guess, who kind of gets the upper hand after Helsinki, we'll see if their competitive strategies change at all. They really only have 2 weeks between meetings, but something could change.
I feel like the ISU just kind of copy-pasted the Grand Prix Finland to because they did the same for the men's. You have Yuzuru Hanyu and Mikhail Koyata at both of those, so I think they just copy-pasted.
Well, with dance it's especially, like, obvious because so many teams are sitting out or have retired after the Olympics.
Yeah. And dance is also a smaller discipline in general,
yeah,
so
there's
only
like 8
so
teams
much.
per event or something.
There's only so much you can, like, switch everybody around.
I was just gonna say, join us this season for Grand Prix Finland 1 and then the sequel, Grand Prix Finland 2.
The beta version. Finland got 2 Grand Prix events this season.
Can you believe?
Them.
Just copy-paste.
Speaking of copy-paste, next up is IDF, where we see Papadakis and Cicerone facing Hawaii and Baker again. Also featuring Gillis and Poirier this time, so...
Yeah. It's in France, so it's going to be an easy win for the French team, for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, and silver bronze is going to go to Hawaii and Baker, and Gillis and Poirier. It just really depends on who gets what.
We've been saying, like, anything can happen basically for the whole episode, but, like, especially in ice dance, there's such a big power vacuum now with so many top names gone that it really is, it's a free-for-all, and whoever can rise to the challenge, especially early in the season, is going to set themselves up for hopefully good results at the big competitions.
And especially with the new scoring system, we don't totally know how that's going to work. So it's hard to specifically predict what will happen because anything could happen. Depends how much they actually use the new scoring system.
Yeah. Now for the event that everyone's probably been waiting for. We're going to discuss the ladies.
AKA the bloodbath of the Grand Prix series.
Yeah, so ladies is probably the most congested field in this post-Olympic season. Not a lot of retirements.
Were there any retirements? I don't think there was.
No, I don't think there were retirements, but some people are sitting out. Yeah. Like Caitlin Osmond is sitting out.
Yeah, that's true.
You also have to keep in mind that Japan and Russia literally took half of the available spots for all of the Grand Prix events. Like, there are three Japanese girls and 3 Russian girls at every single event. That's the absolute max that they could have, and that's half of all of the spots. Like, that's wild.
Why even bother going?
Yeah, exactly.
We have the potential to see Russian or Japanese sweeps in any of these events.
Yeah, especially at Skate America.
Yeah. I challenge you on the Russian sweep. We'll get into that.
Yeah, but especially at Skate America, we have Satoko Miyahara, Kaori Sakamoto, and Marin Honda is what I'm expecting to sweep the podium, notwithstanding complete disaster, which is also possible.
We just need to add an asterisk to this episode, barring complete disaster.
That's a good title.
Barring complete disaster, like Worlds 2018.
Oh yeah, like it's happened before. It's a perfectly valid concern to have. Yeah, I would really give the edge to Satoko Miyahara here, just being 4th at the Olympics, 3rd at Worlds.
And the reigning Skate America champion.
Yeah, and the reigning Skate America champion, and just being the most consistent of the lineup, probably by far.
Brady Tennell could be a podium threat. She broke out in the circuit last year to become the top USA lady and won the USA Champions. So that's going to be interesting to see how she fares up against the Russians and the Japanese.
Yeah, and she also has the home field advantage here.
Well, she faced off against Satoko and Kaori last year at Skate America as well, and they came out on top as in that scenario. So
yeah, I don't think she's gonna win, but she did get bronze at this event last year, so there is a chance she could make the podium.
We're gonna see the comeback of Elena Radionova and Polina Tverskaya. Is that correct?
Yeah, so yeah, that was good enough.
Okay. Good enough. I can't pronounce Russian. I apologize.
Tverskaya.
Tverskaya. So it'll be. They are also potential podium contenders. They're inconsistent, but could potentially medal if anything goes wrong with the Japanese ladies.
Yeah. Tverskaya also did have a coaching change pretty recently. She left to Terry, and so we'll see how that affects her consistency. Again, being in a new environment, it's hard to say. And
speaking of other coaching changes, Marin Honda also switched to Rafael Artunian, so that's also an interesting move, and we'll see how that is going to work out for her this season, because last season was not very good for her.
Also, speaking of coaching changes, at Skate Canada, we have the major, we have the major coaching change of Yevgenia Medvedeva from Eteri to Brian Orser, and that's going to be a very interesting factor in this entire Grand Prix series, but definitely at Skate Canada.
And especially with Yevgenia, she does have some noticeable technical issues that are going to be addressed in her new coaching situation. So with the retooling of her jumps, especially her LUTs, sometimes the consistency of other jumps can also be affected. So
also with the new skating rules, her backloaded programs are no longer going to give her those bonuses that she used to get as well.
Well, she didn't really rely egregiously on backloaded programs, I think.
Well, for the short programs, she did. But we'll see what happens. So it'll be up against her and Wakaba Higuchi, our world silver medalist and the top-seeded skater here. So
top-seeded skater overall, actually, without Osmond.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. So I'm excited to see her. As all of you probably know, I'm a huge Japanese ladies fan. So Aren't we all? So I'm excited to see the rise of Wakaba Higuchi. She has not won a Grand Prix gold yet, so I would love to see her finally win one this season.
And didn't she barely miss out on the Grand Prix final last year?
She went to Grand Prix final last year.
She did.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't her, it was someone else.
Yeah, because Evgenia had to drop out.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. She was the first alternate.
And Gabby Dielman will be the top Canadian lady in this Grand Prix circuit, with the only Canadian lady to have 2 events with the withdrawal of Caitlin Osmond, so she'll be the only chance for Canada to get a lady into the Grand Prix final.
Yeah, definitely big potential for her to get on the podium. I think if she can land her jumps.
So Gabby Dielman hasn't won a Grand Prix medal, I believe. She
has won a world medal, though.
She has, but she hasn't won a medal along the Grand Prix. She tends to peak in the second half of the season, so it'll be interesting to see if she'll really step into that position of the top Canadian lady and do well this in this Grand Prix series.
Yeah, she's very inconsistent, but when she's on, and she does very well.
So good when she's on.
Yes. Another possible podium contender here is Elizaveta Tuktamisheva. I tried. She's making a return. We don't know what all jumps she has, but she might have a triple axel and possibly a triple lutz, triple toe. She was the 2015 world champ, but she's had a few rough seasons since then, so it's really hard to tell how she's going to do since she's making a comeback.
Yeah, she has been landing the triple axel in practice, is what reports seem to suggest. And she's the only lady who's ever landed 4 triples in a short program. So if she can set herself up after the short to be in gold medal position, then.
Moving on to Grand Prix Finland, which gives us another packed. Grand Prix Finland in general is just.
I think all the ladies are very stacked, but Finland also in the other disciplines is very stacked. So
we have Alina Zaitova, the Olympic champion, at her first Grand Prix event at Finland. So she was the dominant skater last season, but she was one of the ones she was the only skater who would backload her entire free skate, which she no longer can do based on the new rules. So we'll see what she will be doing instead.
But I think she's also had a season now to mature a little, and so she might do better PCS wise. I don't know. We'll have to see. But she's at least not 15 brand new off the junior level. She's had a season of senior under her belt.
Yeah, and she was undefeated last season prior to the World Championships.
And what we've seen from her new programs, her free program, looks really interesting. So it's a lot more mature choreography, it looks like. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out throughout the Grand Prix circuit going into the later competitions as it develops.
Her biggest competition here is Carolina Kostner and Kaori Sakamoto. Carolina, if she skates clean, has those PCS scores and can definitely win over Zaitova, but she struggles in the free skate. Kaori Sakamoto is definitely a podium contender. She is very consistent. I don't think we rarely have seen her mess up.
Yeah, she won 4 continents in her first senior season and was named to the Olympic team for Japan.
And she was a 6th at the Olympics, so she did very well. We also have the return of Karen Chen this season. She is a very artistic skater, and she's one of my favorite U.S. ladies, but she does often under-rotate her jumps, and that is a very big issue for her. She's working with a jump coach this season, so hopefully that'll work out with her, and she has new boots, so...
So going on to NHK Trophy in Japan is obviously another stacked lineup, as is all the events. So the main names here are Satoko Miyahara, Gabby Dealman, Mai Mihara, Elena Radionova, and I'm not going to try to attempt Red.
Well, the other Russian names are Maria Sotskova and Elizaveta Tuktamusheva. I was close. I messed up, but close. But yeah, it's really going to be a battle between Japan and Russia and the one Canadian lady. Good luck, Gabby. Not resting on her. But Japan also still has their host spot. TBD here. We don't know who they're gonna pick yet. It's likely going to be Rika Kihira or Rika Hongo.
Or it could be Yuna.
Yuna Shiraiwa. Yeah, that's true.
It could be one of those, because each of those only got one Grand Prix, so it would be smart for the Japanese Fed to try to get one more chance at the Grand Prix final.
It's a little bit of a rehashing of Skate America. I think Satoko Miyahara is still the favorite here to win. She's the reigning Japanese champion. Mai Mihara, she's the four-continent silver medalist, could easily challenge for a podium spot. And it's just like in the Japanese corner, in the Russian corner. It's
in the single Canadian.
Just kind of yeah. If Gabby skates clean again, she has a chance to podium, but she's very inconsistent, so we won't really know until it happens.
Yeah, Gabby doesn't have like the strong combos that a lot of the other ladies have, but her triple toe loop combination has like the highest GOE of any lady combination. So she has very nice jumps when she lands them.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe she'll bring a quad toe in at some point. She does train it.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Moving on to Rostelecom, we have the Alina Zaitova up against Wakaba Higuchi. Wakaba didn't really have the best assignments this season. She's facing Evgenia and Alina.
R.I.P.
But she has a good chance of still doing very well in both of those events.
Yeah, she's definitely highly likely to podium at both competitions. And I'm very excited to see what happens here, especially between her, and this will be a rehash of Cup of China last season, where she also went up against Alina, and they won to the podium. So
yeah, bit of a surprising name here. Gracie Gold is making a comeback to competition after taking last season off for some health reasons, and she was actually given this spot through a returning skater provision in the rules, which basically says that if a skater sits out a season, but they were ranked highly enough the last season that they competed, that they can get at least one Grand Prix event.
And there's still the American host spot, so it could possibly go to her. Just depends on when they announce it and who they announce it for.
That is true, yeah. But some possible dark horses at this event. Karen Chen, like we said earlier, if she skates well, has decent boots. We could see some great things from her. And also Polina Tsurskaya, another possible podium contender here.
Moving on to IDF, and once again, we have Team Japan versus Team Russia, with some other people
Carolina
listed.
Costner.
Plus Carolina Costner. So, you have...
also Brady Tennell.
We do have Brady Tennell.
But I don't know.
So
I don't know about her.
So Evgenia...
In this field, it's...
I
think she has a chance to medal at Skate America, but I don't think she has a chance here.
You have Evgenia Medvedeva, who is the clear gold medal contender here, but we also don't know what her training at TCC is going to do to her skating skills right now. But This is Rika Kihira's only Grand Prix event. A surprise to many when it was announced, but she's highly likely to get that second spot at NHK. She has the triple axel, and she's definitely been seen as more consistent in doing that. She's had issues with consistency and like choking with nerves, so hopefully it'll do better. But with that triple axel means that she gets those points. So
well, also this is her first season at the senior level.
it is,
right? Yeah, so we don't know what that's going to mean for her yet, so we'll just have to wait and see.
It's just kind of unfortunate. This is her first senior event, and this is the field that they put her in.
Well, she's probably going to get NHK too, but that is also a field that I don't think anybody wants.
There's no, easy situation for the Grand Prix for any of the ladies this season.
Yeah.
It's every single field is stacked. Like, there's 5 or 6 ladies at each event who could realistically make the podium, so stay tuned.
It's nice to see that after some of the other disciplines like pairs and ice dance where they're very emptied out. Yeah, where they're very emptied out. This field is not emptied out. It's going to be exciting and it's going to be intense.
It's going to be
you
exciting.
Don't know what's going to happen coming out.
It's definitely going to be exciting for the rest of the quad because we still have all those Russian juniors who are going to be coming up. Lots of Japanese junior ladies coming up as well. So
I believe there's like 3 major Russian girls that could jump to seniors next season, so it's going to be wild.
Yeah, stay tuned for our feature on the Junior Grand Prix, which will be something, I promise.
But yeah, so that about wraps it up for going through all of the events. But we do want to take a moment to talk about some of the major skaters missing. We did kind of refer to a lot of them throughout the thing, but we just kind of want to talk about who's missing and what they're going to be doing and why they're not going to be in the Grand Prix this season.
So one of the major ice dance teams that's sitting out this season is the Shibutanis. They were our Olympic bronze medalists, and they have expressed plans to continue to go to Beijing. So I think realistically they're only going to be sitting out this season and will hopefully make their return next season.
A major name missing in the men's is Javier Fernandez. Unlike Patrick Chan, he hasn't officially announced retirement. He will be competing at the Japan Open and should be competing at Europeans, and then he will likely retire.
Yeah, I think that's
but who knows at this point?
Yeah, he can come back for 2022.
We're surprised. I'm honestly surprised he's still going, but I'm glad that he is.
Yeah.
This the men's field will heavily miss Javier.
Yeah, it's the first time in so long that I've looked at Grand Prix assignments and not seen his name. It's just he's such a sentimental favorite, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, and it's always good to see a top skater from a small fed
make it big.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's very big. He has a nice legend to him though. He'll be down in history.
We also have Maxim Kovtun from Russia. He wasn't included on the Russian Federation's list of skaters who are getting funding from the National Fed. So he wasn't given any Grand Prix assignments. His future is unclear as far as competition goes. Not really a lot else is known, but he hasn't really been around for a few seasons now.
Yeah. And then some top American ladies, both Ashley Wagner and Mirai Nagasu, are sitting out the Grand Prix series. We don't know what they're doing. Neither one of them has officially retired, but they also haven't said what they're going to be doing in the future. So they're both like on the older side when it comes to figure skaters. So their competitive future is very unclear.
We also mentioned Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poje. They are the top Canadian dance team who are not competing on the Grand Prix circuit, but they have expressed that they're going to return for Canadian Nationals, maybe to make an attempt at the World Championships. So, yeah, definitely stay tuned for their return.
Caitlin Osman also said that she won't be competing at the Grand Prix this season, but she will be competing later on, so we look forward to her return.
And then, another big name that is very uncertain is Anna Pogorilaya. We're assuming she didn't get placements just because of her poor performance and early end of her season last season. We're hoping that we'll see her return at Russian Nationals. It's also possible that she could get the host spot at Rostelecom, but with how stacked the Russian ladies field is, that's very uncertain.
Yeah, and she has struggled with injury for the past season.
Yes.
So
Another skater is Han Yan. There was rumors about him retiring at one point, and then it was announced he was doing a coaching change, but there's no assignments, so it'll be interesting to see whether we see him later on in the season at Chinese Nationals, hopefully for Worlds. Do they have 2 spots?
nope, they have one spot.
They only have one spot, and that's probably most definitely going to Boyan.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I don't know how to speak Italian or say these names. Marche and Hodorek are not competing for the Grand Prix, but they'll probably return later on this season. They're taking a break, but they will be missed. I do enjoy their programs.
Yeah. And another heavy hitter in pairs, Savchenko and Massot, are also taking the season off. Aliona is working as a coach, we mentioned, for American team, the Niamhs, so we'll see what they decide to do. This would be their, I think, 5th Olympic cycle? It'd be Aliona's 5th Olympic cycle if she decides to come back, so...
Well, we already know Aliona has no fear whatsoever.
Yeah,
so.
she could do it. I would put good money on her to come back for 2022.
And win.
Yeah, and win.
And win, yeah.
I don't think Sui and Han would appreciate that.
I'm all for Sohan OGN 2022. Anyways, so the Grand Prix series will end with the Grand Prix final, which is December 6th through 9th in Vancouver. The Junior Grand Prix final will also take place at the same time and place.
And we'll see the top 6 skaters overall for each discipline compete, so hopefully it'll be a good time.
We will see. It's going to be interesting for sure, especially in singles.
Especially in ladies.
No one really knows what's going to happen. That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, it could be any 6. There's no, like in all the other disciplines, there's a certain 6 that you expect. In ladies, it could be anyone.
In all of the other disciplines, there's a pretty clear front runner in every single event. But with ladies, it's just like, well,
anyone could take the spot theoretically.
Yeah,
and that's true also for the men's, but that's because of a whole other reason.
As the series starts, you'll definitely hear more from In the Loop about how the events are going and if our predictions came true. So stay tuned for that for sure.
Cool. Well, our next episode will be hosted by Lei, Tilda, Gina, and Evie, and they'll be discussing gender stereotypes in figure skating.
And if you want to get in touch with us, then please feel free to contact us on our Twitter at InTheLowPodcast or on Tumblr at InTheLowPodcast.tumblr.com.
And we're also on YouTube, so just search for In the Loop Podcast and you should find our episodes there too.
If you're listening on iTunes, please consider leaving a rating and a review if you enjoyed the show. Thanks for listening. This has been
Kite,
Yogeeta,
Niamh,
and Red. See you soon.